Hi everybody, welcome to the video. My name's Theo and today I'll be showing you how to make this surfboard. Welcome back folks and welcome to part 4. In this video we're going to be making this strap thing here with a leash that attaches on one end to your ankle, on the other end to the board. And it looks like this is actually a some sort of, I don't know, material cloth thing that is stitched or clamped in some fashion. There's a hole running through it. So sorry for the poor image quality. That's the highest resolution I could find. But anyway, it looks fairly straightforward. So let's just turn off our reference image. And I'm going to try and model it in place, roughly in this area. So I'm going to move the 3D cursor between these two. So I'm going to select these two guys and do Shift S and cursor to selected. And with that lovely operation done, let's do Shift A and click on plane. I'm going to just use my add-on. Boom, there we go. And let's tab into edit mode and press S for scale. In fact, let's just move it up a little bit because it seems to be Z fighting there. So I'm going to move it up just a touch for now. Something like that. Go back to edit mode. S for scale. Let's bring the width down to something like that. And then we can scale it on the y-axis as well. So let's do SY. Bring that out somewhere like that. Cool. Right. Control R, let's add an edge loop down the middle because we want to make that part in the middle there where the loop is. So let's start off with an edge loop there and right click to leave it in the center. And with that edge loop selected, or the edge, not edge loop, the edge selected, I'm actually going to do Control B for bevel. So just one segment is fine. Give it a small bevel, or it doesn't really matter what size it is, but let's go for that. And then we've now got a face. So I'm going to select that face there in the middle and press E to extrude and just pull it up. And that's basically going to be the height of our loop for our strap thing there. Right, we don't need this face on the side and this face on this side. So with those two faces selected, let's just delete those. I think for the purpose of this one, I'm just going to isolate this in the viewport so none of the other stuff gets in the way. So we've basically got this really basic shape at the moment. Let's tab back into edit mode. I'm going to switch over to edge mode and let's add some loop cuts. So let's add two on this side and two on this side, and right click to leave them in the middle. Now we've got these kind of thirds on each side. So I'm going to select all of those edges we just added and then scale them on the y-axis. So SY, just bring them out like so. And maybe we can do something like edge slide on these. Let's press G twice and slide these down. Something like that. Cool. Now, if I was to add a subdivision modifier, this is all going to go. But firstly, we want this to be a closed gap here. So if I was to actually select this edge and that one, and then scale it on the Y, so they're kind of almost touching, like that. And we go back to object mode and let's add a subdivision modifier. I won't use the add-on this time, so head over to modifiers, generate sub D. Let's put that up to 2, maybe even 3, and right click shade smooth. You can see immediately we've got this massive gap there when in fact our geometry is really close together. That's because the sub D is doing its job and it's smoothing things out, right? So we need to add some control loops. Let's turn off the sub D modifier. Select this edge and this one here And let's do Control B. This time scroll the wheel, mouse wheel to get 2 segments. And just go with that. But this time, before you click away, change the, if this opens up like this, just open it up there. And let's change this segments to, that's cool. Profile shape, drag all the way to 1. So we keep the original edges where they were before. Now we've got that done. Turn this back on. You get a much tighter curve there, a corner, which is pretty cool. Now for the sake of this, I'm going to add a mirror modifier to this. So I'm just going to add a loop cut down the middle. Go to top view, 7 on the numpad. Make sure you're in X-ray mode or wireframe. Let's leave it in wireframe for a second. And just delete 1/2. So delete vertices. And I should have had that on there. Let's delete these. Like that. And now we've got half of our strap thing there. Let's add a mirror modifier. Generate mirror. Let's place that above our sub D modifier. We want clipping turned on, and it's on the x-axis, which it is by default. Very nice. Right. Let's tab back into edit mode and edge selection. Let's select these two and scale them on the Y. Like that. And do the same for these ones down here. So SY. And bring these closer together. Oops, not too close because they kind of clip. I guess that tolerance there is a bit too small. But that should be okay, I think. Anyway, moving on. So this is what we have. Not too bad. We also need some control loops around this corner here. And what I'm going to do is also add some loop cuts along the length of these, just to make sure we have some nice topology, more squares than thin stretched rectangles. So Control R, and then I'm going to add 2, 3. Let's go with 3 on either side, like that. So we still have this kind of very big radius on the corners. So to control that, it's easy enough. Let's just do Control R and add an edge loop, a support loop around there. Let's do the same on the other side. So Control R and click. And now we need to do one along the width as well. So Control R and bring that in to about there. So there you go. Wonderful. All that's left to do is give it some thickness and figure out how we're going to clamp this together. Apply the mirror modifier, but before we do that, let's just make sure we add some thickness first and see what happens. So solidify and bring that up above the sub D and after the mirror modifier. Should I put that there first? Now let's put it beneath the mirror modifier. Just turn that off for a moment. And this looks terrible. Let's just click on even thickness and under normals, high quality. Let's do that. So even thickness, right? So that's cool. Let's just reduce that thickness down. Something a bit more sensible. The gap is a bit big though. So let's tab back into edit mode. Let's turn off our Solidify as well. And the sub D modifier. And making sure you're in edge selection. Let's alt click that and then shift alt click this one. And scale them on the Y. So SY. And then now let's turn all of these back on. Just close that one there. I think that's pretty good. Oops, go to the side view. And we still have a bit of a gap. So let's go and turn X-ray on. Switch over to vertex mode. Let's just move these along just a smidge. We don't want them to, they're not going to fuse, are they? They shouldn't fuse anyway. No, they won't, because that's the mirror modifier, doing it that way, not this way. Anyway, turn off X-ray. Let's go with that. I quite like that. The other thing I will do, though, is bring this lot. Let's make sure we've got X-ray on. Did I have X-ray on for these ones? Yeah, I did. Let's just bring these a little bit closer. So SY. Maybe bring them down a touch. So I'm pressing G twice to slide them. And then SY again. Bring them a little bit closer. Lovely. Let's go with that. So what I need to do now is add that you can leave it like that, to be honest. But I do like to add a little bit of detail to these things. So what I'm going to do is add like a little rubber band clamp or something around this, or a plastic clamp, or whatever you want it to be. Could be metallic. Make it as nice as you want. So to do that, let's start off with probably a cube. So let's do a cube. I just click the cube button there on the add-on, but obviously just do Shift A to add a cube. It's a very big cube, right? So I'm going to scale that down to just a bit wider than the strap, and let's scale that in the Z as well. So SZ, and then SY. Let's go with that. Let's lift it up. Let's go to a side view with 3 on the numpad. You can see there's our corner essentially in the bottom of the top of the strap, I should say. So what's the width looking like? That's too much. Let's do SX. I could say it. Let's bring it about there. Let's make the width of that a little bit bigger, I think. Yeah, SY. That would do. Now, you may have noticed, the more astute out there paying attention, I scaled this object in object mode. So now the scale is non-uniform. So if I head over to the item menu, you can see there, we've got these, this should be 111 always. So you can apply the scale, or freeze it if you're familiar with Maya, and do Control A and apply the scale. And that was not zero out, reset them or freeze them to 111. That's what I'm trying to say. Right, cool. We've got to do that. That's really cool. Done that. Let's tab into edit mode. Let's select this top face and the bottom face. And I'm actually going to, well, 2 ways you can do this. You can add an inset and bridge those faces, or delete them and add a Solidify modifier. I'm just going to delete those. So now we've just got this empty box essentially. And what I'm going to do next is add a Solidify modifier. Even thickness again, normals, high quality. And let's bring that, let's try 1 on this one. And bring that down, whoops, to 0 first. And then slowly increase that. I actually do want -1. So it goes inwards, not outwards. It can be a little bit tricky to find the right size here, because we're working to a very small tolerance here, scale wise. So you may need to click in here and put in maybe 0.7. What a good guess that was. That was a perfect guess. Wow. I've impressed myself today. Right. Let's keep that as is for now. And what I'm also going to do is add a loop cut in the middle. Right click to leave it in the middle, and just press Alt S to scale it along the normals. So Alt S and just bring it down. So it's kind of pinching into the strap. Something like that. Pretty cool. Right, let's go back to object mode. And what happens now if we add a Solidify modifier? So not Solidify, subdivision. What am I saying? Let's turn that up to 2. And of course it goes a little bit, let's shade smooth. It goes a little bit soft, doesn't it? That's because we don't have any support loops anywhere around these areas. So we need to add those. So I'm in edge selection mode. Let's Alt click that one. Shift Alt click this one. Do the same on the other side. And let's do Control B. And give that bevel. Something like that. Not too bad. Then that'll probably be okay. Go to object mode, and now you can see we have this kind of clamp thing going on. Again, you can leave that exactly as it is. That's pretty much there. If you wanted to have the top of this actually more flat, you have to apply this Solidify modifier. So if I apply this now, the Solidify modifier anyway, just apply that, tab into edit mode. Now we've got this actual geometry we can play with. So if you really wanted to, you can actually go and Alt click this edge loop. Let me turn X-ray on. You've got the edge loop there, edge loop at the bottom, one at the top, and then the one at the bottom on the inside. Just there. If you really wanted to, you can do two things. You can bevel these or add a mean crease. Let me just turn off the X-ray and I'll show you what happens if we have mean crease on. If I do that, it kind of goes this kind of reddish purple color, pink color. Let me go back to select box, object mode. You can see that what that looks like there. Now, I don't tend to really like using that crease for that purpose. I'd rather add a bevel, a hard bevel, or I'll use a bevel modifier. But I don't think this really needs it. So let's tab back out, let's tab into edit mode again. Select all of the edges by pressing A, just getting rid of any mean crease. I don't think we really need it. I think that's going to be fine just as it is. If you think that's too thin, it's easy enough to fix. Turn X-ray on, face selection, and we can click on one of these inner face loops. Select that inner faces. Go to side view. So yeah, it's kind of there, but not quite. So you can make some adjustments here. You can do things like Alt S to scale it in and out. And yeah, you can do that at the bottom as well. I'm not quite sure that's going through there. Yeah, you can see there that should be kind of clamping towards the strap. So we could actually select these verts there and bring them over. Something like that. Let's do the same on the other side. So there's our strap. You can barely see it. Oh, it's there, isn't it? There it is. There's our strap. So this needs to be probably around there. Oops, I've gone through the strap on this end. Let's bring that out. Oh, no, I haven't. There it is. Okay, then that's probably okay. What about these ones? Yeah, something like that is good. Maybe a bit hard to see, but that's the strap, right? So that's the inside wall of our clamp. Let's bring that closer to the strap. Something like that. That would do. Very nice. Right, the next thing I'm going to do is, just to finish off, I'm going to add a very small amount of adjustments to the vertices on the strap, just so that it looks a bit more organic and not so rigid and perfect, because it never will be in the real world. So let's just take stock of what we were using here. We've got the mirror modifier, Solidify, and Sub D. But there is one more thing we can do, and I'll do that in a second. Let's first of all apply the mirror modifier. Make sure we have clipping turned on, which we do. Let's apply that. Solidify. Then we're going to add that as well. Sorry, not add it, apply that. Make sure you save, and Let's quickly rename that actually. Let's call that SB strap. Oops, I pressed caps lock by mistake. SB strap. The reason I've applied those modifiers is because I go into edit mode. I want to give this a bit more of a sharper edge. So let's just turn off the sub D modifier. So at the moment, it's not quite as sharp as I'd like it. So you could select these edges again on the outside. Just those ones there. If you're going to do those, you have to do these as well. Make sure that's all we've selected there. Yeah, those ones there. And you could add another bevel to these. Something like that, and maybe give that a 0.5 even, or leave it at 1, whichever you prefer. I'm just going to leave it at 1, I think. And if you turn the sub D on, you get this kind of flat edge, which looks rather nice. I quite like that, so I'm going to go with that. Right, so tab back into edit mode, go to vertex selection. Let's make some minor tweaks. So maybe we can push these two, and this one and that one. Maybe push that down a little bit. Like that. Maybe do the same for these ones, just a touch. Like that. And I probably should have done the inside ones as well. Just undo that, select that one. Yeah, so let's maybe go to the front view, turn X-ray on, and do it this way. Something like that is cool. Then maybe select all of these ones on one side and just bring them down. Like that. Okay, not so uniform now, that's good. And finally, let's make some minor adjustments to these. Keep forgetting to put X-ray on. So we select all of the verts there, front and top and bottom. Let's maybe adjust these a little bit. So maybe bring that in a touch. Bring these out a little bit on the other side. Maybe bring those in. And do the same for these, maybe the other way. So something like that. And there we go. What that's left to do now is really put that into place. Let's bring back our surfboard, come out of isolation mode. And we want to place this on top of the surfboard, of course. Once we do that, we need to then move these guys up on top of this. So let's first of all, let's go to the side view. Let's place that. You can see you've got quite a bit of a gap there. So looking at it here, I'm going to press G for grab and Z to bring it down like that. Now we can select this one and this one. Oops, let's just go back to the side view. So anyway, I'm just going to press G, Z, and just bring them up like that. And that's just a bit of a gap, so G, Z, and that's good enough. Lovely. There's our strap done. Right, thanks for watching everybody. I shall catch you in the next one. Bye for now.
Are you serious?
Oh, of course, I moved the strap, but I didn't move the band. Oh, what a mistake. That should be there. Of course, they're separate objects, so they're not going to go together. They're not going to move together. So this is still wrong, obviously. So let's move these back. And that's good. Yeah, happy with that. Right, now I'm definitely going now. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'll see you later. Bye for now. Thanks for watching, and if you like my content, please like and subscribe. It really helps the channel to reach a broader audience. Anyway, I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.